On Mountain News this morning, Commonwealth teachers could be getting maternity leave soon if a bill makes its way through legislation. And SOAR is taking the time to teach students about potential futures.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning, I'm Olivia Calfee. The time is 5:30 on Friday, February 16th. Now let's send it over to meteorologist Tim Drawbridge for a look at your forecast this morning.
Good morning, Olivia. Good morning, everyone. A very tricky forecast, as Cameron was alluding to late last night here on WYMT. Several factors obviously going into play. The ground is warm. The profile of the atmosphere is what we say is marginal, a battle between cold and warm. And like I said yesterday morning, I think it really comes down to the intensity of the rainfall that ends up drawing down more colder air from the upper levels of the atmosphere. So we've got a first alert day with that transition taking place this evening, and we're going to have some slick roadways, that's for sure, as we make our way past the 9 o'clock hour tonight. Winter weather advisory kicks off at 4 o'clock this afternoon, lasts until 4 o'clock tomorrow morning. Does not include those of you from Laurel, Knox, Bell counties, points west and southwest towards Pulaski and Wayne counties. Outside our studios right now, a lot of clouds, and we'll call it officially mostly cloudy, and pretty much temperatures across eastern and southern Kentucky are in the 30s. Satellite radar composite showing us a lot of clouds across the region. We broaden the view out. That's the system coming into play for later today and into tonight. Mostly cloudy, rain arrives mid to late afternoon, a forecast high before the rain in the upper 40s and close to 50. More about tonight and the weekend coming up in a few moments. Olivia?
All right, Tim, thank you. Yesterday, a man was arrested after an hours-long standoff. Thursday evening, Middlesboro Police Department responded to a dispute call on Cumberland Avenue around 6 p.m. After arrival, officials say they spoke with Cody Gaines and that he was aggressive towards them. Officials say he was on the second floor of his apartment threatening officers with a dog. Officers reported Gaines threatened to shoot anyone that attempted to enter his apartment. Eventually, officers were able to arrest Gaines. He is charged with 4 counts of wanton endangerment, terroristic threatening, menacing, resisting arrest, and more. Gaines was taken to the Bell County Detention Center. Well, he rallied Republican votes in the Senate to pass military aid for Ukraine. Now, Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell is under intense criticism inside his own party. David Mattingly finds some of it coming from his own state, and it is raising questions about his own political future.
Now in his 40th year since first elected to the shark-infested waters of the U.S. Senate, Mitch McConnell critics again are smelling blood in the water. One bite in particular recorded by Fox News from Kentucky Republican Senator Rand Paul.
His approval ratings in Kentucky are almost below zero. They are the lowest of any elected official in the United States.
A public poll in December revealed McConnell numbers sinking to the bottom of congressional leaders. The Monmouth University poll showed McConnell's approval rating as Senate Minority Leader at just 6%, with 60% disapproving.
If Governor Beshear ran for his Senate seat and the election were held tomorrow, who would win?
Beshear.
I'm flattered that Rand Paul thinks I'd win that election.
Beshear brushed off Paul's prediction and said Congress has to get its act together.
But this is as broken of a Congress as I have ever witnessed.
McConnell continues to work with Democrats supporting funding to avoid government shutdowns, and most recently to continue military aid to Ukraine. In the process, he finds hardened opposition from Trump supporters and other conservatives growing bolder after 2 McConnell episodes of freezing at the microphone while recovering from a concussion. Kentucky's only Democrat in Congress, however, suggests it would be wrong to count McConnell out.
I still think he is the most powerful elected politician on the Republican side in Washington right now.
That was David Mattingly reporting. A spokesman for Senator McConnell said the criticism goes with the job. He said being beat up is something he's kind of used to after 18 years in leadership. Teachers would have designated maternity leave days if a bill passes in the General Assembly. Senate Bill 205 is sponsored by Lindsay Titchener. She says when reviewing a bill about sick leave and pensions, she discovered there was an inadequacy when it comes to maternity leave for those who work in schools. It would allow for 20 maternity leave days that school employees would be paid for.
And the majority of our teachers are women. A lot of them are coming out of college and starting a family, and they have to rely on those sick days in order to get paid when they're on maternity leave. They can obviously still have a leave but not be paid.
The bill has the support of the Kentucky Education Association. More than 100 Kentucky teens were in Frankfort yesterday asking for stronger enforcement of the state's tobacco laws. The Youth Advocacy Summit is asking lawmakers to strengthen the state's law that prohibits the sale of nicotine to anyone younger than 21. Attendees say more young Kentuckians are using nicotine products.
Enforcement agencies must locate businesses who sell nicotine products in Kentucky and put them on the naughty list. The state needs to check that list every year to make sure that they are no longer selling nicotine products to kids.
Kentucky is one of about 10 states that does not have a comprehensive program to enforce tobacco laws. Wednesday, Senate Bill 20 passed on the Senate floor with widespread support, 25-9. Under the bill, teenagers 15 and older charged with a felony involving a firearm can be tried as adults. Prosecutors would be required to hold a hearing and review evidence to see if the case should be transferred to circuit court. There, the teens will be classified as youthful offenders, but can still face the same penalties as an adult, including prison. Volunteers from Moms Demand Action and Students Demand Action want lawmakers to pass what they say is long overdue gun violence prevention measures. One of those is the Crisis Aversion Rights Retention, or CAR Act. Supporters say it would keep guns out of the hands of people in crisis and would create an office for safer communities. A bipartisan CAR Act was filed in the General Assembly just a few weeks ago after not passing last year. Senator Matt Deneen of Elizabethtown sent out a statement. Here's a part of it. Individuals who commit violent felonies need to be held accountable. Senate Bill 20 provides justice for the victims and their families by holding those responsible for these violent felonies accountable. The bill now heads to the House. Now to a bill that would help with the health care provider shortage in Kentucky is headed to the Senate. The State House unanimously approved House Bill 407. It would allow EKU to offer medical degrees for practice and licensure in osteopathic medicine. EKU would be the first public college in the state to give out the degree. An Oldham County mother is pushing for a bill in honor of her daughter. Jamie's law would change the way epilepsy is linked to someone's cause of death. Jamie Autumn Smith died in her sleep in 2019, 5 years after being diagnosed with epilepsy. Her mother says she lost her daughter to sudden unexpected death in epilepsy known as SUDEP. House Bill 166 would require deaths to be forwarded to the North American SUDEP registry in an effort to improve their research. Forest fire season began yesterday. The spring forest fire season lasts from yesterday until April 30th. State officials say it is illegal to burn anything within 150 feet of woodland or brush area during fire season from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Hazard Fire Chief Robert Keith says fires will most likely spark toward the end of the month, but some departments have already been called to fires. He says the weather pattern can play a big role.
The weather patterns, you have the colder temperatures at night, which produce a frost, which pulls all the moisture out of the vegetation. And then in the daytime, we have the sunlight, and it heats up a little bit better, and humidity is a little bit lower. And then you've got that fuel that the frost pulled the moisture out of.
Keith says to make sure there is not the potential for a fire to spread if you do ignite one. He says to never leave a campfire unattended. Shaping our Appalachian region, also known as SOAR, is helping high school students learn about opportunities in the medical field. WYMT's RJ Johnson has more.
On Thursday, more than 600 high school students made their way to the Corbin Arena to hear one simple message.
When you hear or if you've been told that there's no jobs, you got to leave to find opportunity, it's just not true. And the healthcare is a perfect example of that in terms of the needs of healthcare providers, hospitals, clinics, nursing homes.
SOAR Executive Director Colby Hall says it's important to show students the importance of the medical field, letting them know they can make a difference.
Hospitals, in particular, are the largest employers. For them to continue to be able to do those things, they have to have good talent, right? And so I think that to me is the most important message, streaking it down as much as you can, which is you can make a difference right here in healthcare.
He says signs of this event being a success are starting to show.
We're starting to hear the stories of, I came, from teachers it's hard to hear from every student, right? Because we got 600 today, but we feel like we're getting that positive reinforcement to say, like, this did make a difference.
Even opening students' minds on other careers in the medical field.
And I think we've seen that today. It's very lively up on the concourse as our exhibitors talk about the programs and what's available and scholarships. And I think too, a big thing that kids are learning about is that there's more jobs in a hospital or in a healthcare facility than just nurses and doctors.
Saying there's a place for everyone. In Corbin, RJ Johnson, WYMT Mountain News.
Hall says they are planning another event next month in Pikeville. He says they will be sharing more information in the coming weeks. A nationally recognized program implemented at primarily rural school campuses seems to be making a difference. It's called Peer Forward and is a part of schools across the mountains, giving students on campuses the opportunity to become a peer leader. One college found a 71% higher rate of two-year graduation and 35% higher retention rate semester to semester. And it's something HCTC student Stephanie Stanley is excited about.
I'm just really excited that this exists because I think it's so important. I empower one person and encourage her not to quit class. She finishes, she gets through that class and passes, then she gets to move on, and then she wants to help the next person because she feels empowered with that confidence that she can do it because somebody helped her, and then she passes that along.
And people like Stephanie who are interested in becoming a peer forward coach gets the opportunity to help roughly a dozen peers while being employed and getting paid. Peer leaders are trained in advisement, leadership, and coaching. It is at multiple KCTCS campuses as well as local high schools.